will we be able to edit body type, height, weight, scars, cybernetics, image-based face creation, FOIP scan import? Talk to us about the future of the character customizer.
All right, so it's a great question, and the short answer is yeah. When? Wow. There's a lot of pieces to that. So one of the things that is coming sooner than it is later is scars, and we call it's the feature and the technology of it is blood, sweat, and tears is what we call it, right? So the characters can bleed, so they can sweat, so that they can cry. And what that does bring you is some decal support for the characters, and that's what's actually really critical to have scars and things like that. That starts getting into, so the tech enables this, but that starts getting into design discussions like, okay, when does a scar get made, right? Does a scar last forever? How long does it last? How does Death of a Spaceman work into scars, blood, sweat, tears, these kind of things? So I think there's a lot of great conversations to come for that, but it will be completely enabled. So we're going to be able to put a character in, just put the scar on them, looks great. But as far as that being a dynamic thing that happens when a player is playing, again, we've got to have design discussions to see exactly how that would work out, but the tech would absolutely allow it. So that's just on scars. The body question is a bit of a bigger question, and it's already been a mandate that Chris has put forward that he wants to be able to have custom bodies. Now, I'm not going to talk about the height adjustment because the height adjustment is a different problem than is the, I call it thin fat variations. So thin fat variations have been around for ages and ages and ages. And the old way of doing it is you literally have a thin one, you have a fat one, and you kind of blend in between all of them, right? As you guys know, we have a really, really sophisticated system in DNA within the face. What I'd like to develop and what we are beginning to develop now is DNA for the body. So DNA for the body would give us basically all the same abilities that we have within the face, giving a massive amount of ranges of body types that you could blend in between depending on different controllers or whatever you'd want to do. So that's where Chris wants to take this. Now, there's so many challenges, guys, because it's not just about doing the body. Like, I think a lot of people think about the customization, they see a guy standing there in an outfit and they're like, cool, that should just work. I agree, but that amalgamation of a character is like 12 assets, all independent, right? If I were to restart this game again, I would make every body the exact same topology, every shirt on top of it, the exact same topology, so that we could do those blending kind of things. But that's why we've got to utilize something like DNA and a Raptiformer on top of it to be able to do that. But so you guys are aware, when we mark up a hair or we mark sunglasses, toques, or anything around the face, it takes some time. It's a lot like skinning. We have to mark up the vertices to say how much or how little do you move, how do you move, whether it's elastic, whether it's a rigid. It takes some time. We would have to do that then with every single body asset. And just to give you some idea, we are nearing 1,200 body type assets within the PU. It might even be higher. That's the last I checked. 1,200 assets. So we're talking a lot of stuff over many, many years, and they're all in different states of, where's the mesh, LODs, face orders. It's tricky. So the things that go on the face to make DNA work, we know the vert order of every single one of those faces, and we know the vert order of the attachment, so we can move it. But if we have all these assets on top of a body, we don't know that. So basically, we have to make a Protoss body, like we have the Protoss head, which is the mass average. Then we have to mark up every single asset that would go on top of it to move appropriately within all those ranges. So it's just a lot of work. So I think the first step, but it's a question I think a little bit later. First step is going to be something like Starware, right? And then we need to be able to look at the body adjustment. It's a question a little bit later on as well. The other place that we are able to use this is on new types of bodies. And what do I mean by a new type of body? Well, I mean things like a quasi-grazer. I mean bodies like a worm. I mean bodies that don't have many attachments yet. We can start doing some stuff with those. So having, we like to call them DNA creatures, makes a lot of sense. But there's a ton of challenges. Ivo Herzeg has taken a huge look at it on our animation programming tech. Yeah, he's an awesome guy.
I haven't talked to Ivo in forever.
Well, I talked to him yesterday. Well, there was a bug in his code, I thought. And he proved to me the whole time it was not a bug in his code. It was somebody else's that sits near him, so that was funny. But yeah, he's already looked into this, and we've started sort of the investigations into it. So that's body, and I realize this is a very long-winded answer, but that's a lot of questions in one. So we've gone over scars, we've gone over bodies. What was the other? Oh,
Cybernetics.
scanning. Oh, cybernetics. Cybernetics much easier. We actually have characters that use cybernetics already. There's some Battaglia within the PU, and there may or may not be some within Squadron as well that we've used that. So to do it on a character is pretty straightforward for us. It actually relies on the underpinnings of Starware to work really well. Because Starware will be able to adapt to different arms, different lengths of there's a whole bunch of stuff that will come with those attachments. So I think that's shortly to come. There's no tech stopping us now from the cybernetics of it. But the question then begets, can you take it off? What happens to FPS gameplay when you take your right arm off?
Yeah.
Right? There's some questions to be answered within.
It could be just cosmetic, but that would not be a very Star Citizen approach.
Yeah, but how ridiculous would characters look running around the... okay, yes, you can put a gun in your left hand, but right now, all of our animations all very much expect that you're holding that weapon like this. So they're just running around like this. Like, come on. That's not really going to work out. Could we do it with NPCs? 100%, right? No problem. And I think you'll see a lot of that in the coming year for NPCs actually using that kind of stuff because it's there, and we do a lot of it. So that is cybernetics.
Image-based face creation.
Yeah, I mean, I love this conversation because, as you know, anybody that's followed the project for a long time has known that I'm really into the weirdy tech, like the FOIP tech, or trying to scan things. As they might be aware, I did all the scanning systems for Squadron 42 for all our head DNA. So this is near and dear to my heart because, of course, when we go there are ways to get the image projected out onto a character, but people have tried this before in games, and I reference a very specific project, NBA 2K15.
Yep.
Go ahead and Google it now. NBA 2K15 facial scan or face scan, or yeah, NBA 2K15 face, and you'll see the results, and they're very unfortunate. Those results. So if you're gonna do it, it needs to work super frickin' well. Because again, you're gonna contort your own players' faces, and that is not something that people, as funny as it is, it's not something you want running around in the verse. So the only time we would do it is if we could guarantee those results. Now DNA kind of takes us that direction. So what I think is much more interesting is taking a FOIP capture or a webcam capture or even just an image capture and driving DNA as close to that position as possible.
Right.
And then bringing in whatever texture makes sense for that. Like you get the closest you can. So it's not a true scan. It's more of a DNA approximation of you rather than a full scan. I personally think that's probably a safer way to go. And I really hope you guys have Googled 2K.
Oh yeah, no, they are. The search analytics for 2K15 just went up.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I actually used that feature in WWE 2K20.
Did it work good?
Yeah, I got it. Well, I was able to cover like the bottom half with a beard and stuff like that, but for the most part, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't mess up too bad?
No, you could tell it was sort of me.
Oh, that's good.
More
okay, cool. I honestly, I thought they gave up.
Yeah, no.
I thought they just bailed on it.
No.
They did for a couple of years, though.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah, I know.
So maybe again, whether resolutions are higher. But anyways, I think that's a very reasonable way that we could do this. Is it going to work? I don't know. Haven't tried it, but I hope to get there.
Yeah, I think the faceware thing is probably the FOIP thing is probably the right thing because you can get all the points in the structure from that,
Exactly.
and then alter the structure and then just find the texture and you can get people half the way to.
Yeah, and I think we've
right
got
there.
enough textures, especially now that we've done the new scan set and we've got like 60 or 70 of the new materials and all that in. Plus the skin tinting, you can actually approximate somebody's skin tone pretty close. And there's a whole bunch of algorithms you can do to do that. So, I think it's worth an effort for sure.
Let's talk some male-female model parity, if you will. Why are the male and female player models so different in terms of bugs and feature support?
Yes. So we just talked a little bit. I mentioned it. The player heights. So height adoption. The reason we have different heights between male and female is we have different rigs. We have identical human rigs, but they are different heights and they've got different controllers, different offsets, all these different things. So that means that their assets actually get skinned independently. We also have different geometry in some cases. Like we take parity pretty seriously. Like we've made sure that when an armor goes out, it's got both versions. When it, and we don't go over the top with the the female version's massively different than the male version. It's darn close. I hope that most of the time you can still tell that there is a difference, but there is, and it gets skinned separately. So it's dealt with as a separate asset. And commonly what happens is that somebody just messes up one of them, or they're in a rush, or we're trying to get a whole boatload of assets done at one time, and either the male one gets missed and the female one goes in, or the female one gets missed and the male one goes in. So it happens, but we are really trying to keep parity in place as much as possible. So the reason those break down is just because they're two separate assets, completely different. In terms of design and the data on the design side, they're identical. So we have one, it's called a record, a data record. We have one record, and then depending on what skeleton that record goes onto, it will go down a different path of geometry in that record. So for example, we just set a tag, it says female, and we have other tags like hanging. If it's on a hanger, it looks like the hanging version. If it's in a locker, it looks like the locker version. So it goes through this little tree of sub-geometries, we call them. So yeah, that's why it happens. But we do take it pretty seriously. So most of the time that something like that comes up, we absolutely try to do it. Another big reason is some legacy assets, for sure, that just weren't created for a female in the first place before we actually started taking this seriously. Because if people remember, we didn't always have a female player, right?
Yeah.